Welcome to this discussion of noise-rated ceiling tiles. So what do we mean by that? Well, the typical acoustical ceiling tile is very good at absorbing sound inside of a space and thereby controlling reverberation in that space and makes it sound good. However, they don't have very much mass to them, which leads to noise escaping through them. And what you find often to be the problem is that the walls do not go to deck, particularly in an open air plenum return. And sound will go up off of the deck above and reflect into the sound on the other side. So where you think you may have a wall problem, you actually have a ceiling problem. In fact, this is such a concern that there has been an ASTM standard, E1414, that tests just for this condition. It's called Ceiling Attenuation Class, or CAC, and it's just a single number that represents the passing of noise up through the ceiling, off of a deck, and below. The test is set up like such. You have a source room where someone speaks and a microphone in the other room, and it's a double pass. So it goes up through the membrane once and then back down and tested on the other side. If you look at the marketplace, there's standard ceiling tiles out there, many styles and many sizes for a modest price. And the typical CAC rating on these tiles is about a 35. A few years ago, high CAC tiles hit the marketplace by these same manufacturers. The price went up a little bit and the CAC went up to about a 40 to 43. Newer to the market is a melamine with backer panel style tile. Melamine, if you're not familiar, is an open cell foam that is fairly brittle, but it is fire rated. In this case, the backer panel, it's about a 3/8 inch product. It does most of the noise blocking. It is only available in a couple styles. It's fairly expensive and does give you a CAC rating of 45. Newest to the market is a standard high CAC tile. It has two styles, one size, quite pricey, but does net a 45 to 50. Now all of these tiles are a little bit different compared to the Kinetics quiet tile. It is more of a treatment. We can start with any particular tile, and which means you have lots of styles, lots of sizes. It's fairly inexpensive and does give you the highest rated CAC rating of 49 to 51 on the market. So here you see quiet tile, and it's tested at CAC of 51 rating. This particular tile we started with Armstrong Cortega, and to that we added custom cut drywall as well as some sound dampening. To get the 51, we added a 1-inch thick 3-pound fiberglass board, and this was tested on both sides of the wall assembly, again to receive the CAC rating of 51. Now, if you look at the market, this is where the noise-rated tiles start and stop. They test for CAC. Kinetics, being a noise control company, wanted to take it one step further, and so we conducted a series of STC tests. If you're not familiar with STC, it's a single number rating system that tests from 125 to 4,000 hertz. To give you an idea of how it performs, an STC 40 wall, if someone is speaking on one side of it, someone on the other side is going to be able to hear bits and pieces of the conversation. If you're playing music, typically they're going to be able to hear it on the other side. If we contrast that with an STC 60 wall, it's going to eliminate virtually all conversation. If you're playing music loud, you're probably going to pick up bass notes, and if you strain, maybe even some of the regular music. As an aside, building code requires an STC 50 wall and ceiling for any multifamily units like condos and the such. So you get an idea that 50 is not necessarily good performance. So we could not find any testing where people took an actual ceiling tile and put it in a grid and never tested it. And this is what Kinetics wanted to test, because we wanted to kind of simulate the real world, as you will have gaps between the panels. So here you see in the testing chamber as tested from above, where we suspended a wood beam and then from that hung the ceiling grid, and also then put our ceiling tiles in, and in this case added fiberglass bat. And here you see it from underneath. It's a bit of an unusual configuration to test. There was no deck above, as is typical when you do a floor ceiling STC test, but that opened up some possibilities for us. Primarily, there is in a lot of cases, there's equipment in this cavity that needed to have access to. This is why they have to use an ACT style ceiling versus, say, a double layer drywall ceiling hanger for noise concern. Because that's making noise in the plenum space, we wanted to test the quiet tile by itself just to see what kind of rating it would get. We did follow the STC standard, and here you can kind of see the results. The bare tile by itself, Cortego, tested as an STC of 19, whereas the quiet tile in this configuration tested as an STC 33. To give you an idea of what to look at when you're looking at this chart, if you're not familiar, you have transmission loss running up the vertical axis and then frequency along the horizontal axis from low to high. If you look at the 500 hertz range, you can kind of see where STC 19 bare tile tested at 20 dB, whereas the quiet tile tested a little above 30. The rule of thumb is that a 10 dB difference is about halving of the sound, so you can kind of get an idea, at least from 500 on hertz on up, the quiet tile eliminated half of the sound. If you take a look at our website, and you can get to it by just typing kineticsnoise.com/quiet tile, anytime you see anything in an orange box, that's kind of an educational section. And as is typical among Kinetics, we did include both our CAC tests. You can download them in that CAC section, as well as all of the STC tests that were conducted in this series of tests. And again, it's all available to be downloaded. Also, as any typical product manufacturer, we're going to have specifications, data sheets, lead analysis, and such. So in conclusion, why choose a noise-rated ceiling tile? Well, as we discussed, the ceiling is often the weak point. You can have a decent-sized wall, but the noise is going up and then over that wall and back down on the other side. This is particularly a good solution if it's already occupied and you're having noise problems, because you can choose the same tile that's used throughout the rest of the building and no one will ever know that it was ever switched out. And it's fairly easy to install low mass that can be done after hours. And again, because it's a ceiling tile, you can remove them to have access to any areas in the plenum that you need to get to. I want to thank you for your attention. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Below you will find links to the various different resources that we have available for you. Thank you.